Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Medvedev threatens Belgium after the defense minister of Belgium threatened Moscow with wiping it off the map. So Medvedev says, Belgium, if we send a little Poseidon towards you, you will be done. Well, who do you think can wipe whom? Do you think Belgium can destroy Moscow, or Moscow could destroy Belgium or Russia? We're going to discuss that as the first topic. The second one, I will show you one big reason why mass democracy is wrong, and that I will use as an hamster here, as a mouse, as a guinea pig, Mr. Macron, Emmanuel Macron of France, whose popularity is very low, but he's still the president of France. Next one. Now, if you would find out that the Russians tried to kidnap President Trump using the Air Force One pilot, what would you say? If you would find out that, let's say, intelligence services, the secret services, the special services of the Russian Federation contacted the Air Force One pilots, let's put it this way, and they would try to have this guy join them with money into kidnapping Trump. What do you think the United States of America should say about that? What would you say as a US citizen? Well, that's exactly how the United States of America operates. Like mafia. That's why I called these guys in charge of us, apparently, Al Capone. They act as Al Capone, even worse. And that gets me to the last topic for this video, which is the big liar, Zelenskyy claims that Russia has 500 ships in the Shadow Fleet. Now, is it true? I cannot verify. Can you for me, please? So if Zelenskyy would say that's 800 Shadow Fleet tankers, can you contradict the big liar? You can't. And he comes with a solution to solve the Shadow Fleet, the Russian 500 Shadow Fleet tankers. And I'm going to show you the solution Mr. Zelenskyy brought for others to solve. That's the key word, others. All right, let's start with the first topic. And this is Medvedev. According to the new Voice of Ukraine, Medvedev calls Poseidon, and I'm quoting, a doomsday weapon, threatens to wipe Belgium off the map. All right, what happened? So, Mr. Defense Minister of Belgium, a non-country, Belgium, don't get offended, population, military, economic, financial, you know what I mean, number of people, ethnic hegemonity. You got any homogeneous society? No, therefore you're diverse, you screwed. So what's going on over here? This defense minister, he had an interview with a media outlet, and they asked him, what if Russia decides, they come with scenarios, but scenarios are camouflaged. Because I can give you a scenario so you can say what you cannot say otherwise. So it's like in volleyball. You have a guy, the shooters on the side, of the net. They are ready, they're waiting for you, for the guy in the middle, to get the ball up for them. They can jump and spike it. Without the guy in the middle, they can't really, hit the ball in the opponent, the other team's, field. He needs someone to get it up in the air so they can jump and smack it. That's the mass media. Sometimes this guy wants to smack the ball, but he can't just smack it by himself, throw it up and boom. He has to wait for the media or someone else asking him the right question so he can smack it. So this is what happened. This defense minister of the big country of Belgium with a big military, yes, Leopold II, big military, you remember what they did in Africa? All right. He was asked, what if the Russians decide to strike Brussels? And this guy says, you know what? If the Russians decide to strike any NATO capitals or Brussels, we, NATO that is, will wipe out Moscow from the face of the earth. Not Belgium. We, NATO. You understand? It's like that little joke with the elephant and the mouse. And it happens that they walk in the same time on a wooden bridge. And you know the dum 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 dum. And the mouse tells the elephant, see how hard we walk? No, you're not walking. We are walking because the elephant is making the noise with his, weight. Not you. You just happen to be on the bridge. That is Belgium and NATO, or the United States of America. Belgium has big mouth. But actually it's the United States of America that should have a big mouth. Why? Because the United States of America carries every other baboon in its tree. Got it? Alright. So now Medvedev says this. Right there. Hello, how are you? Kremlin's figurehead accused war criminal. They would not introduce Netanyahu like that. Alexei Stazhnetsky, which I think is also a bizarre guy. He would not, I read some articles of this guy, this Ukrainian, I guess. He would not introduce, what's his name, Netanyahu the same way. No, he would accused war criminal. So is Netanyahu. And Deputy Chairman of Russia's Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev, called the Poseidon nuclear torpedo a doomsday weapon and threatened that Belgium would, and I'm quoting, disappear, end quote, if Russia tested the device near its borders or shores. In his typical fashion, Medvedev took to social media to lash out at the West. No, not at the West. You see how this fucking cunt right here, I can't call him differently. You see, Belgium is going to destroy Moscow with NATO. Now, Medvedev lashes out at the West and not at Belgium. So this is a piece of shit. This is not a journalist. Right there, just so you know. Alright? Unlike the Burevestnik, the Poseidon can be considered a true doomsday weapon, he wrote on X, accompanying the post with a lightning bolt and skull emoji. He singled out Belgian Defense Minister Theo Franken, not the West. Okay, Belgium is part of the West, you understand? It's not the West. My God, and the West is not Belgium, just so you understand. We still use, this kind of logic. Whoever earlier said that NATO would wipe Moscow off the face of the earth if Putin attempted to use a new weapon against Europe in response to a comment under his post. Medvedev threatened that Belgium will disappear, not NATO, not the West, if Russia tests the Poseidon torpedo off its coast. Alright, got it? Now these guys, what can you do? They are doing what they do. I just picked this one just for this Alex Stazhnetsky Stein, probably. Okay, next one. I'm going to tell you and show you something that's wrong with democracy, mass democracy. One of the many issues. Macron's popularity sinks to record low. Paul, the French president is facing a deepening political crisis. French President Emmanuel Macron's popularity, that means democracy, demos, the people, has hit a record low, with his approval rating falling to just 11%, according to a new poll published by Le Figaro on Thursday. You got it? So he's got 11%, 1 in 10. Now, that means he's not doing a good job. What would you do? He should be fired. But he's not, because he's got his term. This is wrong with democracy. In a business, you have a CEO, you have a supervisor, you have a rank and file employee who fucks up and doesn't meet the standards. 1 in 10, he's fired yesterday. You want efficiency. But in democracy, which is very important with the president, 1 in 10 approve with his job and he's still in power. So that's wrong. We need to find a way to remove this imbecile because he performs very badly, if you know what I mean. But there's no way to do it. That's one aspect. The second one is this. We elect, let's say, a guy. Once he gets the imperium, the right to serve us, not to rule over us, serve us, you can't fire him. You can't fire Macron. Macron can have 0% popularity or approval rating. You can't fire the loser. Is this right? In whose mind and whose world this is a good thing? Remember, this guy and others can screw countries and nations for future generations with a decree, with a decision, legal decision. He's got the authority. And then you need 5 generations maybe to recuperate from the going just like that. This is not good with democracy. That's why you don't let everybody vote. Only the capable ones who know something about it. I wrote about this in my book, Go and Find It. A better world, a better society we should create. Go and find it on Amazon, by the way. Where I said, no, there should be stages. 25% of a vote, 50% of the vote, 75% of the vote, and then full vote. If you know what you're talking about and you know what you're going to vote for, then you get full vote. But anyway, go and read my book. Next one. Let's say you find out Putin or I don't know, the guys from Iran tried to hire the Trump's pilot, or the White House is the White House, the Air Force One pilot, to hijack the plane with Trump and land them in, I don't know, in Venezuela, in Caracas, or whomever where. What do you think the Americans should do? Now, that's like a declaration of war. They were not going to say, it's okay. Let me show you what the Americans wanted to do. Got it? United States of America, the government, that government, sought to lure, to bribe, to buy Nicolás Maduro's pilot into betraying the Venezuelan leader. The federal agent had a daring pitch for Nicolás Maduro's chief pilot. All he had to do was surreptitiously divert the Venezuelan president's plane to a place where U.S. authorities could nab the strongman. Well, he's a president. More than Zelenskyy. So whenever you refer to Zelenskyy as the president, I would like to use the same term and title for Maduro. In exchange, the agent told the pilot in a clandestine meeting the aviator would be made a very rich man. So why don't you sell me your mother and I will make you rich? Basically, all right? Why don't you give me the key of your house so I can go and, I don't know, rob you and I'm going to make you rich, rob your family. And in the meantime, take care of your wife and whomever looks good in the household. The conversation was tense and the pilot left non-committal, though he provided the agent Edwin Lopez with his cell phone number, a sign he might be interested in helping. That's not helping. All right, just so you know. So imagine they're talking about, I don't know, Ivan Monorov, all right? The agent tried to take on John Smith, the pilot of Air Force One. What do you think the Americans should do? Over the next 16 months, even after retiring from his government job in July, Lopez kept at it, chatting with the pilot over an encrypted messaging app. Oh, encrypted, that means CIA did not have anything to do with that. They did not see it. Okay, so this is the untold intrigue-filled saga of how Lopez tried to flip the pilot to bribe him, to buy him. Has all the elements of Cold War spy thriller. Do you think that's the way the story would be told if it would be the Russians trying to do this to the Americans? Who is the embassy who wrote this? Must be Joshua Goodman. So Joshua Goodman, the bazaar man, gives you all this interpretation. Let's say the Iranians would try to be in the tribe, tried to bribe the pilot of Netanyahu. Do you think Israel, do you think that Mr. Joshua Goodman, Shalom, would tell the same thing like Cold War saga, man? They tried, man. Do you think that's the way he's going to report? I know. And they make the news for you. They teach your children how to think. They have the Hollywood to give you symbols and what to like and what not to like. They're the same ones. They're in charge of our brains, supposedly. And let me show you another Zelenskyy Stein right here as Mr. Joshua. All right, here you have it. Ukrainska Pravda. Zelenskyy, double Y, I have no idea why, because Ukrainska Pravda uses double Y, but for instance, Ukrinform again, Ukrainian media outlet uses only one Y. Make up your fucking minds. Russia has over 500 Shadow Fleet tankers. They need to be completely stopped. By whom? Who do you suggest stops Russia's fleet? The West. So it's going to be again Pontius Pilatus is going to do your job and your guy's job to take care of, in this case, Jesus Christ. Excellent, excellent. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy Stein has reported, citing Ukrainian intelligence like they know, that Russia has more than 500 tanks in its shadow fleet operating under the flags of other countries. According to our data that we can't verify, there are more than 500 such tankers. They need to be stopped completely, as this would have a significant impact on energy trade and on European security. He blackmails. He tells, if you don't do that, it's going to have an impact on you. The same as the Pharisees threatened and tried to blackmail Pontius Pilatus with Caesar in Rome. Read your Bible. These tankers are also among the platforms used by Russia to launch drones. No, that's not true. That's another big lie. They said they might be. Remember, the French stopped that tanker by its coast in the international waters, and they didn't find anything. And now this guy is a fact. These tankers are also among the platforms used by Russia to launch drones. He's a big liar. That's why Adolf called them such a way, because he knew. He rubbed shoulders with them, or elbows, or whatever he did. So you got it, my friends? This is Zelenskyy. How do you think he wants those 500 tankers to be taken care of? Torpedoed? Blown up like the Nord Stream pipelines? Are Ukrainians going to do? Or they want the Romans to crucify Jesus Christ because these guys want them to do it? And if you don't do it, we're going to tell Caesar. You're going to be hurt. The same thing worked for more than 2,000 years and still going. And these imbeciles are, for Israel. Anyway, thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.